You're listening to Legend of the Innkeeper, the Hearthstone podcast for casual players.
Ah, you're new here. Pull up a chair by the hearth.
Hey there, welcome to Legend of the Innkeeper. I'm Vastidius.
And I am Espo.
And we have a good friend on the show, a guest we met at BlizzCon this year when we got to go, Matt Place. He's joining us live from Blizzard.
True, yeah. Good to be here. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
We're super stoked, dude. It was like cool. It was like yesterday we were stalking you at BlizzCon.
Just a month ago. That was an intense weekend, man. That was awesome. We finally got to share with everyone the new set. That was so fun. Yeah, loved it.
I bet that can be quite stressful, just getting to the point where you can actually do that. Just the anticipation, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's tons of positivity, right? Like, oh boy, we get to tell the players. I can't wait. I'm so curious how they're going to react, right? Which is like, oh, are they going to love it? Are they going to, right? It's so cool. So it was great to see everyone get excited, right, about all the different pieces and, the vibe and the cards that we got to show off, right? So just seeing all the positivity made it all amazing. It's really cool.
I will say this, and you could probably rack this up as a success.
Good.
During the opening ceremonies, when they finally, we're all waiting for our games to be talked about, during the opening ceremonies. When they started talking about Hearthstone, there were little wells of water in my, because it's just,
awesome.
it's
I love it.
Tingles up my spine and just little, like welling up of the eyes. So excited, and so congratulations. There you go.
Sweet. Awesome.
It was either that or it was the dude dressed up in cosplay as Widowmaker.
Widowmaker.
Yeah.
Widowmaker. Nice.
It was one of the two. It was not nice. No.
Yeah. So I guess you can rack
machine.
that up as a positive. Yeah, smoke machine.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I get the same way about a lot of things, especially Blizzard games. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I'm the same, man. I love it. Yeah.
Well,
we definitely share the passion.
Yes.
Well, this week we were going to talk about some release that you guys did, and I'm not sure if anybody knows about that, but I heard it was fairly successful, and that people are really happy about it. So, yeah, that's why we got you to come on the show, and you're super excited. Just like it's like having two Espos here. I mean, you're smiling and smiling and smiling. It's a lot of fun. So,
hey, we're happy people. It's good.
Well, before we do that, I do want to mention something that is something Espo doesn't even know about. We actually hit a milestone this last week for the show itself. We've been doing the show now. It's the 120th episode, so it's almost 2 years, I think, is what we've figured out. Actually, it's more than 2 years. But this week we hit...
Dude, we're almost... Yeah.
We hit 250,000 downloads for our shows.
Wow.
Hit 250,000
Nice.
downloads. And that is
Congratulations.
insane. Thank you. So,
wow, amazing. Yeah, cool.
It's been a long, long road, but it's been a lot of fun throughout the process, and it's great to hit these little steps along the way. So I'm super excited about that. And if you haven't listened to the show before, and this is your first time listening, we hope that you hang around and listen, subscribe, and check us out on iTunes, and kind of join us for as we go through this other stuff. So, and the only other thing I want to mention was we just launched our other podcast, The Loot Box, covering Overwatch, which is my daughter's podcast, and that's gone live. All the shows are up to date now, and we record our next episode on Saturday. So again, we've had about 110 downloads of the latest show, and we could use more to kind of boost that show. So if you want to skip over there to the Loot Box, it's on lootboxshow.com, where you can find it on iTunes and on any other podcaster that you use to listen to your podcast. So hopefully you'll have a chance to listen to it and enjoy that. So. And then, Espo, you had one more thing?
Yeah, I was, right before the show, Rez and I were getting together to play some of these new cards. and we decided to jump back into the YouTube fray and continue our versus battles, where we take, these Hearthstone cards and throw them at each other in a fun way. We might change roads a little bit and decide to go a little bit more with the meta, the more popular decks, but for now we're going to stick with these versus battles. They're just fun. So I'll give you guys a little hint. The video that we recorded today is Demons versus Murlocs. So it's the salt, let's put it this way, lots of salt. Rez had a good time. So look forward to that on our YouTube channel. Check it often. We'll try to post some videos at least once or twice a week. So we're getting back into that.
Cool.
And I blame the Mean Streets cards, Matt. I blame them. So there you go.
All right, good, great.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do real quick on the stream. I am going to... Oh, of course, it fixes itself. Okay. If it does it again, I'm just going to turn off the frames and we'll go straight Skype, and we'll just keep it that way. Okay. So the reason we had you here is we wanted to talk about this new expansion, wanted to kind of dig into it a little bit. And my biggest question that's come from this whole expansion is, how did this whole three-family concept come about in the first place? I mean, this is totally unique and different from anything you've done in the past.
Right, yeah, cool. Well, it was a big challenge, right? Because we were creating so much new content with these families, right? A lot of new legendary characters. We took Gadgetzan and kind of revamped the setting, right? Turned it from a small little town from the MMO into this bustling city full of crime, which was a ton of fun, but also a lot of work. And a lot of our focus was figuring out, okay, what does it mean to the player, right? So we kind of came from a mechanical and story angle on both of them to land on these three families. We initially started with this, like, wouldn't it be cool to do like a cops and robbers set, and then we more focused on the robbers. Well, how many groups, how many factions, how many crime families do we have? And we were like, oh, maybe it's 4. And then we realized, hey, 3 divides perfectly into 9 classes, right? And then we could divide the turf for each family perfectly. And now players, when they choose their class, are able to sign up for one of the families. So that all worked out perfectly. And it was a ton of fun to figure out, okay, what's distinct about each of these families? How do we make sure, once we landed on the Cabal, right, okay, they're the cloth casters, well, let's make them visually and mechanically distinct from the other 2 families. And that was a lot of fun figuring that out. And the whole team, kind of came together with the art team, did so many cool concept art and character creation, and just made something that I love, like when I'm opening packs or just browsing my collection, like so many fun characters. So yeah, I think it was a home run when it came to the story. And then mechanically, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. So hopefully everybody's having fun with these distinct mechanics for the families, which play, I think it's a lot of fun. They play differently depending on the class. So even though it's the same general direction for all the Jade Lotus classes, they play differently based on the class you play. So yeah, a lot of fun bringing it all together and making it all, make sense in the end and go, yeah, okay, this was a good idea. We did it good, which is important, right? Because we're about to ship. So hooray. Yeah, it was fun.
When you guys finally debuted the third family and their mechanic of the Jade Golems, it was the day that we were I was actually making the show notes as you guys debuted it. And I texted Bastides and I'm like, dude, just give me, I'm going to do show notes today. I know what we're doing. Yeah, and cool. I just went crazy. And that night when we recorded, it was all about the three families and their mechanics and how excited we were about it. Because once we saw that third family, we're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like each family has their distinct mechanic. Right. Each family has their distinct look, their distinct way of, coming at you. And it's, man, so much excitement with these three families.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, I do have to say also the show notes were a little weird because Espo, he doesn't type. He does it all by Siri. And so, he's trying to type all these different words for different families. And it's like, what in the world is a Groons? Like, what? No, I'm kidding. But
the Grimy Groons. That's a pretty good name, too, actually. Hey, that's pretty good.
Okay, so now the other big thing was the multi-class cards. That was another unique twist. How did that end up coming about?
So yeah, once we had this the structure that we were talking about, right? It's three families. We wanted to make sure when you were choosing one of those families, you felt like it's not just your class, right? You're not just playing Druid with a few new mechanics or a few new cards. So we actually talked about the tri-class cards as family cards. These are Jade Lotus cards, right? These are Cabal cards, and we wanted them to mechanically serve a role as the glue that brings those three classes together. And I think the commons are great examples of this, right? Of the base mechanic being there, right? And okay, I see where this mechanic's going, but then in each class, once you get the class specific cards, you can take it in different directions. So mechanically, it served a great role there, and vibe and story wise, it was also perfect, right? We get to find these, especially for the bosses, right? These, okay, who embodies the class? Who's the leader of the class? And of course, they need to be available to all three of these classes. So that family leader being a tri-class card was also a perfect way to glue them together. So yeah, it just made a lot of sense as we explored it. And it seems like people are having a lot of fun with it, right? Both mechanically and vibe-wise, they've been, I think, pretty successful, which is cool.
Oh yeah, the first three cards I crafted were Aya and Don Hencho, and of course Kazakis, because those, there you go. You have legendaries for 9 classes now. And of
value.
Course, right? I mean, I don't see that it's all about value, right? So it was really cool how you guys did that, and we were able to get 9 legendaries out of 3, and then 9 different decks that were, similar in 3 ways, but like you said, each class has their own way of playing with that mechanic, and it just spot on.
Cool, man. Awesome.
Well, I've been playing a Warlock deck today because of a quest, and I kind of just threw it together, basically trying to work around those new cards first, and then building on those cards what makes sense and what made sense to add to it. And having the ability to play that card from the Warlock deck that gives us me an option to choose between the Mage, Warlock, and Priest cards. It's so cool to be able to pull a Priest card as a Warlock, especially to heal myself. So that's always fun to have that option.
Yeah, and I love that example, right? Because it's a weakness sometimes of Warlock. How can you shore up the healing when you're tapping turn after turn? Right. So, and it's also fun too, just the variety of play, right? Like, I haven't been in a situation where I've had this specific Mage card in my Priest deck. So just those new combinations and new synergies are also a lot of why we were excited to make the rare tri-class cards. Yeah.
So is there any? Are there any plans to possibly continue with this game mechanics and maybe the future? Are we looking at maybe future expansions having something like that?
Well, the reason that it's in, right, for all the reasons that it's perfect for Mean Streets of Gadgetzan is why we have it here. We won't close any doors, but currently we're not announcing any plans to use them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of game mechanics, are there any game mechanics in this expansion that you would like to talk about that isn't being talked about? For example, like buffing minions in your hand?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a ton of fun with that. What I love, and I think maybe I'm a bit like Espo in this way, I love trying to find combinations that are kind of kooky, right? Like I've had some terrible versions of this where what if I could combine Reno with Jade Druid? Does that make any sense? I know I don't get access to Kazakas, but could that work? It turns out no, it's terrible. But I love exploring these fun, how can I get value? I'm really greedy. I love Reno, right? Hearing about what people are buffing, the different angles, don't just buff the little guys in Paladin. What if you had, obviously some of them like the Doppelgangster, but what else is there that's cool to buff that may not be obvious is a lot of fun for me to explore. I don't know if you have similar stories, Espo.
Oh my goodness! All I've done since the cards have released is experiment. I just love putting together, like you just said, these crazy decks. And Vassidius' favorite card is that little dwarf guy named Bronze Beard. And so I love getting him out and then dropping the Doppelgangster after I've buffed him up with a bunch of goons. Oh my gosh! So getting 5 9/9s is not a bad thing.
Right.
It's crazy.
Jay Golems may not even be that big by then, right? Like you can overrun Jay Golems with these combos. Yeah, I love it. Oh yeah. Super fun.
It's so cool just finding these neat little combinations. And just cool stuff. So I don't know. I feel like I keep saying good job, but you guys
Awesome. Sweet.
Well, one of my first decks I built, it was thanks to Disguised Toast. He was playing around with combinations, doing crazy stuff. And one of the first combos he built the day I'm at work watching him open packs and he finished opening packs was what he lovingly called the Coon Cthulhu deck. And it's a druid deck with Coon, Cthulhu, and Aviana. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It is insane if you can pull that combo off. I mean, I had one and I had 42 points of damage against my opponent. I had one game where I had 110 points of damage in my hand, ready to go. It was.
Does he run Brewmasters in there? I love that.
Yes.
Right, once you've got all your minions costing 1, you can just keep chaining with the Coon and the Cthulhu.
Yes.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, 2
so
Brewmasters and Brawn, of course. So
Yeah.
that when Cthulhu comes out, it's like fireworks. It's crazy.
Awesome.
And then I did have somebody asked in the chat. They wanted to know, what is your favorite card of the set? If you had to pick one.
It's definitely Kazakus. I have the day that was conceived, right? It was a beautiful day. It was a good day for me in Streets of Gadgets, and it wasn't me, it was fellow designers. And one designer asked, hey, what if players, right? It's a dream. What if players could make their own Hearthstone card? And it's fun because, that question's easy to answer with, bah humbug, that can't be done, that's impossible, what does that even mean? But Peter Whalen actually started answering it with actually a way we can implement and test, and it turned out to be insanely fun. And part of why I love it is just, okay, what am I going to get? I don't know, but I know it's going to be insanely powerful. And I also love running Reno, so yeah, that's been my favorite. How about you guys?
Did you have some of the people in the shop saying, shaking their heads when somebody threw that idea out there, where they go like, this is absolutely crazy, what do you think you're doing?
I think that was it was actually more positive. Oh my gosh, can that be real? And explaining it to people was generally, verbally, people were like, what? Huh? Cool, right? And then doing the play test with it, I think it got just immense love by the whole team. So
I remember at BlizzCon talking to Young a little bit about it, and asking him, because we got to sit next to Young during the Hearthstone panel, and I was like, so like, what in the world? How do you, And he was like, well, when they first said, let's let the players make their own spells, and Young said it took him like probably 20 seconds to like think about it, and then he's like, let's try that.
Right,
like
cool.
like that whole, still positive, just like a little bit of confusion at first, like what
does that even mean?
Are we bending reality? Like, what in the world?
What's great too, the different roles that the different team members play, right? Like some of us, like myself, get to play the role of I'm excited about anything, let's do it, and some people need to be more realistic, but this one was realistic and it was the full dream, and actually, well, as you can see, it shipped. So yeah, it's great.
It's reality. Awesome. It is reality. I see it happen a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think
I see a lot of people roping because of the decision, but
Yeah, that's true. Do you think there'll be any possibility of seeing that mechanic on a different card later on, or maybe something that does something different, like creating custom minions or spells?
Yeah, I think when we find something that's super fun and is beloved and explores new space, new types of fun, certainly the Discover mechanic I think is a great example of this. Reno is a great example of this, right? Had a lot of fun. Then of course Mean Streets explored that too, with 4 more cards. So yeah, I think mechanics like this that we find that are super fun, we're definitely thinking about them. How else could we, explore this type of fun? When would it make sense, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, definitely when we find something that I think like this is a home run, it's definitely possible some cousin cards could appear in the future. We'll see.
Cousins.
Well, Matt,
that's a hint right there. That's a hint, right?
We'll see. I don't know.
Bronzebeard's brother.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So Bastides, you missed Matt's question for us. He asked us what our favorite legendaries were, and I'm up in the air. Of course, Kazakus, because of his mechanic, because of what he, like we've been talking about, because he bends the reality of the game. I mean, you're making your own card as you play.
Right.
He has to be one of my favorites. But I played with Kuhn during the demo at BlizzCon. And I want to break him in half all the time. Like I'm like, this is awesome. I want to try so many different combinations with him. I think we're just scratching the surface with a lot of these legendaries, and it's going to be so awesome. But I got to jump on board with Kazakus just because of the bending of reality.
Yeah, cool.
Okay,
awesome.
Then my choice would be Bronzebeard, right?
Sweet.
No, is that not a good option?
That's acceptable.
Dude, he works with every legendary in this pack, just practically. It's like almost every legendary has a battle cry, so it's awesome. But no, if I had to choose one, I think right now, and this is going to change probably next week, it's got to be Kuhn. I'd go with you on that one, because that combo of Kuhn, if you can pull it off, which I've been able to pull off more than I thought I would be able to do so much damage in such a in a single turn is just absolutely insane. And it's just I giggle with glee whenever I get pulled off. So that's why it's fun. And then Kazakus is another awesome one.
Well, okay. Well, speaking of legendaries, I gotta say Rez's favorite. So I think Rez's favorite is it Cruelty Unshackled? Is that what he's called?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Cruelty. Now I gotta ask you, is that Life Coach on that card?
Oh, funny. No, actually, the story there is it's a demon who broke the shackles and enslaved his warlock.
Okay.
There wasn't anybody from the real world that we were.
Yeah, I kind of knew it wasn't. And I've seen actually that model. I've seen it other places, so I was like, yeah, that's just the warlock. But man, he's got the beard. Anyway, moving on.
Yep.
So you're saying he's a demon in real life?
Well,
I don't know.
no, he's the warlock. If you look at the
No,
card,
I'm kidding.
for those
I
of
was
you who don't
joking
know the
about.
card, Cruelty Unshackled has a human, what it looks like in the foreground, and his eyes are kind of glowing. And then in the background, of course, is Cruelty Unshackled, and he's breaking his chains. And like Matt said, it's basically an image of Cruelty Unshackled breaking his chains and kind of enslaving the warlock. Then, right? Is that?
That's right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. It's really cool. I love the warlock class, so that was perfect.
Did you say it's really cool or really cruel? I didn't hear you. Sorry. No, sorry.
Okay, so
Awesome.
leading up to the whole release of Mean Streets, there was a lot of people belly aching, I guess you would say, about the priest class and about concerns of where it stood, and the questions were out there going, is it going to get stronger? Is it going to get better? Obviously, we're now on the other side of the release, so we can actually look back and say, I think yes. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the priest and the strengthening of that, or how you guys looked at that as you were going through it.
Yeah, it was definitely a focus to give potent cards to priest, and specifically that give you different options, right? So I think the Draconid Operative is a great example of, wow, this is really good when I go Dragon. Well, of course, Kazakus and Raza, super powerful when I'm willing to go Reno. No duplicates in my deck. I love that what the final design team did, right? Giving great cards, but not all in one dimension, right? You don't necessarily run all these, and certainly if you're going no duplicates, you can't just pack them all into your deck. So I love what they did, where they gave potent cards, but really it's choices. Which path do you want to go? And then do you combine them, right? Like we were talking about earlier, I love the combining of these, and trying to run dragons with Kazakus is a ton of fun, and apparently quite good. People have been successful with it. So I love all the different choices that people are getting for priest, and obviously we're seeing priest do quite well, so I think that's a victory.
Well, I have to say, every time I saw another card revealed for the priest class that said dragon or something related to it, I was like giddy with joy, because I was playing dragon priest right before.
Cool.
And I haven't actually played any since the release, because I've been playing that warlock
What?
deck.
Oh, nice.
'Cause I'm so excited about Kuhn, Cthulhu.
Oh, the druid deck. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that's just awesome. And then I've been playing with Warlock, and mostly it's been the quests that have been guiding my choice of deck this last week. So,
Cool.
Now another question along lines of interactions: have you put any more thought into how a player can interact with their opponent when it's not your turn? Like what we already have currently is Counterspell and Loatheb are two examples of how you can affect your opponent's turn while it's that really screws them up somehow.
Yeah, it's interesting. That space is interesting. We certainly have, as we do secrets, and traps and different hidden information is a great way to do this. Okay, I've set something up. Do you know what it is? Are you playing around it? In a different angle, Dirty Rat's kind of interesting in this space. It's like, I think that I might have got you down to just your N'Zoth, or maybe just a couple minions, including N'Zoth. Now is the time. Or maybe I do it early because you're playing, an aggressive deck.
Right.
I love those types of interactions. So yeah, we're definitely, we look at those and we're like, how can we get cool new interactions and new dimensions all the time? So those are kind of fun. And so we'll see that. And secrets are a great way to do it, but also maybe cards in your hand that are paying attention in some way, right? We've talked about a lot of different ideas. So yes.
So I have a question, and I am gonna ask this one because it was heavy on my heart when it came out. So as you know, I'm big on the fun side of the Hearthstone and
Awesome.
getting people to have fun, and also getting Matt, you and I talked about the beginning player experience and things like that. But so when you guys debuted your ideas for the Heroic Tavern Brawl, I thought of this. Is this going to be like a one-time thing, or will it be repeating every so often? Will it be a permanent fixture? And will it take place of the regular Tavern Brawl each week? Because that was a concern of mine, being a casual player, and I always loved getting into the tavern and playing with friends, and then I get a free pack each week, and these new players get free packs each week. So that week that we added the Heroic Brawl, I was a little bit disheartened that it went away for a week, even though it was a week, and I knew it'd be back. You know, what's going on here?
I totally get you. You didn't want your awesome fun space Tavern Brawl, right, to be at risk. Totally. Well,
I was scared. I was scared.
Yeah, we love Tavern Brawl, right? And what it does for us, right? It lets us experiment, right? Heroic Tavern Brawl is a great example of this. Do fun, different things, have fun in different ways that that maybe the base game doesn't do, or maybe is just fun for just a little while, right? And we love that kind of playground to explore these super fun, crazy ideas. So since that's been so successful, I don't think you have to be worried. Specifically to Heroic Tavern Brawl, I think it was a great success, right? Like we were looking at it as, hey, this is for a certain audience, right? That'll have a lot of fun with it, which we saw that happen. And it's for people like me who just love watching on Twitch these games that are intense, right? And I think it was a great success there too. So the fact that it was a success, I mean, things I think leads to, no doors are going to be closed on what that means for Heroic Tavern Brawl. Don't know what we're doing with it yet. We'll find out. But I think that was a good sign for that game mode. But yeah, we'll keep exploring tons of fun, crazy, wacky, fun stuff in Tavern Brawl.
So I think you kind of answered it. So yeah. I need to know though, will it replace, if you decide to keep going with Heroic, will it replace that when it does? You know what? Are you getting
what he's trying to say is that he'd like to
yeah.
see Heroic Brawl and regular Tavern Brawl at the same time versus it replacing it.
I agreed with you. Heroic Brawl, huge success, incredible. Right. It was awesome getting the game out there and kind of scratching that itch that a lot of competitive players had. But the people that I play with are more on a casual side, and I think we're scared that when Heroic Tavern Brawl does come permanently, will it kind of take place because there's a space there, Right.
And I totally get what you're asking. I don't think there's any reason to be worried about that. I'm not really in all the conversations, so I don't necessarily know. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason to be worried about that. I think both Tavern Brawl at large, right, just changing every week and being kind of crazy and wacky and fun is been such a success that, hey, that's really good for that mode. And then Heroic Brawl being also a success in a different way is great for that game mode. So, I think those being fun, means that they're both probably probably in a good spot.
So don't worry. I shouldn't worry then.
I wouldn't. No. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Poor guy. He was stressed out that week. I have to say though, the only thing is next time don't put it 2 weeks before the release of a new expansion and make me use 2,000 gold out of my coffers. Or was it? Yeah. Because
I was at 5,000.
Were you?
Went to zero right away. Yeah. I was like, wow, that went fast. That went fast.
Yeah. I did have fun with it. I'm not an arena player just because I'm not any good at it. But I was like, I got to do it for the show. I have to do it at least once. I did it once and actually ended up with the 5 wins and thought I made out okay. Wasn't great.
Yeah, nice.
But then I did a second round.
Got some boosters. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, a little bit. But then the next round I won, and that didn't do too good. So that's about normal. So I felt robbed on that one. Okay, so when you are putting together this and you're into playtesting, after you get the idea and you go to playtesting, what is the timeline it takes to get from idea to playtesting? And when you do get the card to where it's balanced, how long is it? How is it likely to remain in that form at the end?
Well, it totally depends, card by card. What's cool is we've got tools where we can have an idea and almost instantly be testing stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, it really depends on the card. Also depends on, are we in initial design with this new idea? Where are we at in the design process? How balanced it is when it's, myself balancing it may not be as good as Mike and Ryan and those other guys. So yeah, the time to balance is different, but it's kind of fun seeing the card go through all the different groups on the Hearthstone team and how it develops, right? In addition to balance and just the initial concept, when we're making the art descriptions, like, okay, what is the concept for this card? What's the art going to be? What are the effects going to be? Which I think are just so A+, right? The art team's amazing at this. So yeah, it's fun seeing it from beginning to end turn into this shippable, awesome card in the end.
Lunchtime must be awesome around there when somebody has a crazy idea. It's like, hey, everybody, check out this idea, see what you think. And everybody goes, yay.
Oh, yeah.
Nay.
Yeah, tons of crazy ideas. You get emails with fun, crazy ideas from everyone on the team, right? It might be an art idea from a non-artist, et cetera, right? So it's just super cool. Tons
so
of
when
people.
you guys get those crazy ideas and they actually make it into the game, I know it's early in the set right now, but we've seen sets in the past. Do you guys like say, I can't believe no one figured this out yet? No one's, does that happen where you're like waiting a couple weeks and you're like, no one's figured this out yet?
Yeah, or is what we thought might be good not that good, right? Like it's all kind of unknown. And one of the things that's interesting, this team is super talented. To take such a small, balanced team, I mean, it's a lot of guys, but still relative to the amount of people that are going to start jamming on it once we release the set. Mm-hmm. And they do such a great job of predicting, right? It's a big challenge to see what a great job they do at predicting. I think is super impressive, right? To be able to have so much fun once, 10,000 great deck builders start jamming on it is pretty cool. But yeah, it's cool to see, decks that I think might be great. Oh, are people going to build this deck? I love this deck. And then nobody builds it. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm the only one who knows about this deck. And I play it on ladder and I go 0-6. And I'm like, oh, that's why nobody built the deck. Now I see it. Okay. But yeah, it's fun.
So you guys have to be excited when like almost nobody in the office figures something out, and then a streamer or a deck builder figures it out. You guys got to be, oh my gosh, this is your cards that you created. You didn't see something that has happened, right?
Has that even happened?
Well, in a lot of ways it does, in that you can't predict everything, and that's kind of how the final design team thinks too. They look at, okay, we think these decks are going to be good, we think this is where this card's going to land, but they're also thinking in terms of ranges. Okay, what could this card do in maybe some deck we haven't built yet? What is the potential for this card? Which I think takes a lot of talent, right? What is this deck that we haven't built that somebody else will? What's the risk? So it's both the what have they put, basically built the deck for, and what do they think the potential is? They explore it in all those ways, right? They rank the cards and make their guesses. They play test. They look back at it and honestly do a phenomenal job, right? Like to have so many different, especially right now. I love this time where I jump into the ladder and it's like, oh, am I going to face the Jade Lotus? Am I going to face a Cabal deck? What am I going to face? Oh, how do I need to change my deck based on what I am facing? And I have a lot of choices right now. I love that variety. Super fun.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, cool.
Are there any cards other than Kazakus, Kuhn, all the majors? Are there any cards or mechanics that you're kind of hoping players will be the most excited about with this expansion that maybe it's not being talked about?
I think some of the fun, and I'm curious to see what people explore with this, are cards that can make new decks all on their own, right? They're not necessarily linking into an existing deck. Madame Goya is kind of interesting in that way. Hey, what if my hero power is my only way I'm generating minions, except for these 3 amazing minions and Madame Goya? Like I find those decks really fun to see, okay, what happens with that? And that's not necessarily, playing into Jade Lotus or Cabal or anything like that. I love seeing those decks. I built a lot of those with Barnes. Barnes is actually one of my favorite decks. Just what can I do that's new and unique based on this one card that's kind of a guiding light for an entire deck? So yeah, I love cards like that can just open up new doors.
Like Bronzebeard.
Oh my goodness. And so that's one thing that I really like about the Tavern Brawls is it kind of gets people that aren't normally comfortable building decks to help them with ideas for building decks, like the Madame Goya idea, where they're like, oh man, I could do this. Right. And they go back and they build these decks to play with their friends, like Resinize versus videos. If you go back, you'll see those crazy decks where we're like, let's take this one card and let's go ahead and build our whole deck around it, and we won't attack each other's heroes until we get this awesome combo up, and we'll cheer because it's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun when you do that too, and you discover new synergies. You're like, oh, this is actually really good. Maybe I should put this into more decks. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Really fun.
I have to say, I haven't, the whole patches thing you guys did in the intro for the Hearthstone cards when you showed us all
Oh
the
yeah,
cool things
gang
that
up.
patches does.
Yeah.
Gang up, yeah.
I keep using patches in my deck. I'm trying to remember which deck it is. I think it's a Warlock deck, or it's a it was another deck, and no, it was a Warrior deck. That's right. It's my
Now
Warrior deck.
you know gang up is in Rogue, right?
I know, that's right. So I was trying to use it. I'm like,
I'm picturing you like wondering, why can't I do this?
that's exactly what's happening. It's in my Warrior deck, and he keeps popping on the board. I'm like, no, not yet. You're not supposed to come out now. It's like, so I need to build a Rogue deck around that. But that whole patches card was insane. Is there any story behind patches other than just some crazy idea?
Yeah, actually, so he was originally in all the way back in the Grand Tournament.
Wow.
The idea for patches in a different incarnation. He was actually a different pirate back then, and he was still planned to be in the set when we were making the cinematics video. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but he was one of the cards without the text box in the cinematics video.
Yep.
And then it was decided, he's dangerous. Okay, we got to pull him out. So a new card was put onto that art, which is kind of funny, right? And patches got a break. And then he popped up in a few sets after that, including Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, where finally he got shipped. We had a great idea to, what if he's a beholder with lots of eyes? He's a pirate, and he says, aye, aye, when he attacks. Oh, this is all too good not to ship. So we got to do it. And he's taken the world by storm. So, yeah, pretty fun. But, pretty crazy.
When I saw him, I said, he's a beholder. That's crazy. Yeah. And he's a pirate. This is awesome.
It's awesome,
and he shoots out like a cannonball. I mean, you had to ship him. He's awesome.
Yeah, so good. Love it.
So I got one last question, and this is why I played the game. I gotta ask. So when you're feeling salty, when you're feeling like you just went 0-6 with a deck you thought was going to be awesome on the ladder, how do you have fun in Hearthstone? Like, I know I'll build a Thief Priest. I'll get with my friends and just go at each other, or I'll build a deck around one card and try to get that synergy to work or get that combo to work. Matt, how do you have fun in Hearthstone?
Well, I know that I'm more focused on fun when I'm losing, like you're saying, and I still want to keep playing that deck, right? And for me, it's the trying to find immense value. I think the Brewmasters, I brought them up earlier, are like some of my favorite cards, right? Oh, let's replay that again with Bronzebeard in play, for example, right? When I'm losing and I'm like, yes, let's re-queue with this deck. That was worth it. Let's do it again. So yeah, I love building those decks that are like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but this is a ton of fun. And how many times can I use my favorite card? How many times can I get Kazakus to trigger, for example? I've done it a few times in a single game. It's really fun. Have 3 10-mana potions in my hand at one time. Feels very powerful. I love it. Tons of fun.
Wow. So
very greedy.
So Matt's favorite way to play is to bounce crazy minions back to his hand and play them again and again and again. Exactly. I agree, dude. That's so awesome. Like that's our listeners. When we first started the podcast, we're a casual Hearthstone podcast, but we have a lot of listeners that are competitive, and they love being competitive, and they oftentimes get burnt out. So a lot of times on the show, like I want to say, like every 4 or 5 episodes, I just bring it back up. I'm like, all right, guys, listen, I've been seeing a lot of negative talk in the Facebook group. Let's get those fun decks out. Let's have fun. Let's get back in there. Let's find some fun decks that maybe we lost along the way, or that we haven't found yet. So I believe that Mean Streets is gonna have a lot of those decks in it, and that's so cool. Sweet, I mean, nothing against the old gods, nothing against TGT, but I just feel like Mean Streets. I think it might be these 3 families that's causing us to kind of be feeling like there's all these different kinds of decks out there that are just waiting for us to have fun with.
Cool. Yeah. And it's so fun to watch too, right? Like I love loading up, a streamer like Kibler loves to explore things, right? Okay, maybe this won't work, but let's try it. It's just fun to watch too, right? And I totally agree. I think Mean Streets does a good job of, okay, here's the tools we're giving you for each of the families, right? How do you use them has led to a pretty cool variety, right? I think Jade Lotus is a great example of what does it mean to Shaman versus Druid, right? It's Jade Idol means it's pretty different in Druid than it is in Shaman. So it's fun to see that variety. But I also love, like we were talking about earlier, just how can I explore this in a way that maybe people aren't thinking of? You know, like I love to, for example, small time recruits to get Xeris. What if I played a late game small time recruits deck? You know, what does that even mean? Is that bad idea? Is that terrible? Right? What does that mean? So, yeah, lots of fun.
I'm just trying to imagine that. So
yeah, I've been playing that deck. I just wait. I have all these guys in my hand, and I just wait for the perfect moment. It's fun, obviously, but not been winning with it. So.
Okay, so what's your favorite class?
Priest, I think, is my favorite class. Raza is one of my favorite legendaries from the set. I've been loving that. Upgrading your hero power with Justicar when it's free, totally fun. Priest is probably number one for me.
That's funny. That was Dean's favorite too, as well. It's a little theme we got going there over Blizzard. Priest rules. Well, we appreciate you being on the show again. We're super excited to talk with you at BlizzCon. This was our first BlizzCon. We just geeked out in so many ways, and then to be able to see everybody there at BlizzCon and have a chance to really interact with you and Youngwoo just made the whole experience even more exciting for us. So we can't wait to go next time if we're able to, and looking forward to that. Is there anything else?
To hang out.
Oh, absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch, or something you might want to mention at all?
Oh, no, it's just fun. Thanks for inviting me on, guys. It was a ton of fun. Love joking about decks and talking about our favorite stuff. Really cool.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just there's so much fun that can be had. It's like it's almost like a sandbox. You kind of bring your own toys, but you can just do whatever. You can build whatever you want, and you guys are making it that way. So good on you. Congratulations and success.
Cool, man. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, that's going to wrap us up this week. We're going to just enjoy the time we had, and I appreciate you and being on the show. Thanks, everybody, for being in the stream as well and checking out the show. And if you want to check out the other episodes we have in the past, you can find us on legendoftheinnkeeper.com. Also, if you want to watch Espo's videos that he's doing with the Versus videos, you find on our YouTube channel at legendoftheinnkeeper.com/YouTube. And again, we appreciate you joining us on the show, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys again here in the near future.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Good job, team.